Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm sitting here today in crisscross style, coming to you this morning, just or afternoon or evening, wherever you are in the world. Just wanted to bring you some Monday morning manna, some Monday morning meditation to help you get your week going, to help you stay focused on the intentions that you have set for this week. Well, I also want to congratulate those of you who have heeded my encouragements and stayed connected and focused on your goals that you set at the beginning of the year, your New Year's resolutions. And if you are still functioning and performing with them, you are in a very elite group of people because by February the 15th, over 90% of all people who set resolutions have abandoned them. So, congratulations on getting to this point. We have talked a lot about vision, missions, and goal. We've talked about making your vision, your mission, and your goals so that they align with your divine purpose, which gives you a greater meaning with the things that you're doing. It'll make it harder for you to abandon because you know that you are serving a higher purpose. Last week, we started talking about entering into the presence of God so that you can understand what He wants you to do. So many people start out confused about who they are and what they're called to do. And as we go through different changes in our life, different stages, we go from college to married, working, raising children, empty nester. So sometimes we need clarity about what we are called to do in a particular season of our life and how it aligns with our overall vision in our life. So in order for us to do that, we have to practice His presence. What God sent me by this morning to tell you is that as you enter into His presence, as we enter into His presence, we need to surrender. Just the whole thought and idea of surrendering can be so liberating and so freeing. The world will see a surrender as a defeat. The world will see surrender as weak. The world would see someone who surrenders as someone who quits. But our spiritual economy tells us that when we surrender, we have our power under control. We are meek. When we surrender, we're not quitting. We are coming to the end of ourselves, of our earthly plane, so that we can elevate to a higher calling in Him. That's what happens when we surrender. There is no reason to go into God's presence with the intention of doing what you wanted to do all along that wasn't aligned to His purpose and plan for your life. The whole point of seeking out His presence, first of all, is to just be there, just to be. But then as you are being, God, how can I serve you? God, what do you want from me? God, I want to do everything that you've called me to do. So we have to practice the art of, I call it an art of surrender, because it can be very difficult for us to surrender our will when we've had dreams that sometimes we have to let go of, sometimes permanently, sometimes for a season. I remember a young man who at an early age was able to make a decision when it was time to go to college. He received a scholarship, athletic scholarship, but he felt called to missions. And that brave young man took that opportunity to go and do a mission instead of go to college because he felt led to that. Now, he could have taken that scholarship, gone to college, and and who knows, played professional sports, but he sacrificed all that and went a different direction. That is what surrender is, when we go the direction that God has for us. For me personally, I feel like I surrender uh, a lot, but probably not enough. We need to surrender. Sometimes we need to surrender just different ways of thinking and attitudes also. But just in the whole idea of having a career, being a professional woman, there were many times when I had the opportunity to apply for jobs that would have accelerated my career, but they were out of town when I wanted to stay connected to the ministry and the work I was doing in the church. And I didn't pursue those opportunities. I surrendered that opportunity for the opportunity to serve God in a different way. I believe now, when I look back on it, I would not do anything differently than what I did. We have to go into his presence and surrender and surrender. Let's see, let me find a scripture that I want to share. When we surrender, we give our heart to God and we seek to go his way. We seek to go the way that God would have us to do. We are told to let our minds be transformed, to be who God has called us to be. He says, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service, that you may prove what is that perfect and excellent will of God. We want to prove the will of God in our life. And so we bring ourselves into subjection to his will and we do what he says. See, now, if you don't do what he says, I don't want to be mean, but stay out his presence if you're not going to do what he says. What's the point? Why are you wasting your time? If you're just going to live your life how you want to live it anyway, just go do that. But if you want transformation, if you want clarity, if you want your purpose to be on point, then surrender. Surrender brings clarity. Surrender brings confidence. Surrender brings power. So as we are seeking his purpose, I want you to surrender. Just let it go. Let it go. Rest in his presence. There's been some times when I felt like I was carrying some really heavy stuff. It was too heavy for my shoulders. And I carried it till it almost broke my back. And I would get to the point where I was at the end of me. When I get to the end of me, that is when God shows up and shows out in my life. So let's make a decision today to come to the end of me, the end of you, so that God's will can manifest. That's all I want to say on that today. I hope this is blessing you. Let me know in the comments if you are committed to surrendering your will to the will of God today and give him everything that you hold valuable, turning it loose in his hand. Let me know if you're willing to do that today. Comment or send me a message and we can talk about it a little bit further.